Live tonight from the virtual Iowa Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to week 3 of the 2022 Real Sim Racing Sim Speed Shop Winter Series. Well, as always, we're happy that your Monday night is with us here on RaceSpotTV, along with our producer downstairs, Hugo Luis and Nolan Rempel. My name is Evan Pasoko. Nolan, coming off of a thriller last week at the Virtual Auto Club Speedway, tonight gets us set for challenge number 3, right? Started the season at a big 2.5-mile super speedway, a big 2-mile D-shaped oval last week. Tonight we go short track racing for the first time in 2022, as these drivers have to continue to roll with the punches of all these different challenges in the first half of this schedule.
Oh, absolutely. So you have two very draft-heavy tracks, and tracks that can definitely encourage some tight, close pack racing right down to the short tracks. And personally, Evan, short tracks are honestly, they remain some of the favorites of mine on any NASCAR calendar. They are always the wild card races, right? They're the races where it's not so much about the car, it's about how confident you are in your own abilities as a racing driver.
Especially, I think, in these NASCAR Xfinity Series cars. You talk about those big tracks. Well, short track tonight, road course next week, and intermediate the week after. 5 different disciplines over the course of the first 5 weeks of this championship. Of course, if you remember back to Daytona, Andrew Freenosh kicked off his search for a 3rd consecutive Winter Series championship with a race, or 3rd total, I should say, with a race win at Daytona International Speedway. But Michael Laraya took home the win last week at Fontana. A very exciting race, tons of great racing up at the front of the field, and it has kept the championship conversation interesting. Now, Laraya didn't have a good start to the year, so his race win's big because it bumps him up to the number 6 spot, Nolan. But the big winner was actually your second-place driver of the points, Kyle Trudell. He gained 4 positions. He is hot on the heels of Andrew Freenosh, only 10 points off of our current championship leader.
And all of this with just 14 at the moment, separating, some of these drivers. I mean, it is unbelievable how tight it is. 16 points separate the entirety of the top 5 from one another. It's going to be one of those championship fights that is going to be set to swing on out all the way through to season's finale at Las Vegas Motor Speedway on January the 24th. I mean, any one of these races where something goes wrong for the guy in your top 10, right, you can find themselves dropping well outside top 10 of the points, and just as quickly you can see somebody else rocking it up from behind with an unexpected win to take a 10th place spot in points.
And last week we mentioned it as well, in addition to the Drivers' Championship, there will be a Team Championship crowned this season. And after 2 weeks, Keeping It Real Esports with 177 points is 20 up on Flat Out Motorsports. Now, Keep It Real is a huge team, Nolan. They've got the likes of some of the biggest names: Bowie, Chambliss, Silver, Rabel. You got Schmidt, Casto, Six, and Brownie. I mean, they got 8 drivers, right? But on any given week, in order to score points towards the team championship, only each team's top 3 finishers will count towards those team championship standings, and certainly looks like it's going to be a race between those top three, between Keeping It Real, Flat Out, and XPM, and that should be another exciting championship that we can follow all season long.
And I think the fact that there's only 20 points separating your top two definitely is a testament as to how close this championship really is, right? I mean, upwards of 40 points able to be scored by just one driver. We consider that as 3 drivers being scored from each team. The fact that it is only 20 points apart is honestly about as close as you can expect for it to get between two teams at the moment, especially right at the top of the boards. Usually it's so common to see guys with the bigger teams that are have a lot more experience under their belts just being able to rock it away with those positions. That has not been the case so far, though. Keeping it real, but they do look set to see if they can pull just a little bit further ahead in that team championship here at Iowa.
And we take a live look in at single car qualifying right now. No knockout qualifying on the cards for this evening. Looks like 32 drivers will be taking to the green flag here tonight from Iowa. Let's talk about this racetrack now, Nolan. It's one of the newest tracks in America, really. Iowa Speedway, located in Newton, Iowa, has been in operation only since 2006. This 7/8 of a mile oval was designed and built under the auspices of NASCAR champion Rusty Wallace. It cost $70 million to build it at the time. We talked about Fontana being a D-shaped oval last week. This is a very different one, modeled a lot after the likes of Richmond International Raceway. It sits some 30,000 people, and you've seen NASCAR, IndyCar racing. If you're on the service as well, Rally Car is really good rallycross racing here as well. Very exciting. So one of the more versatile, venues on the circuit. But what you don't see in modern day NASCAR is the Cup Series doesn't go here. And recently, Nolan, even the NASCAR Xfinity Series hasn't been making starts at Iowa. I really think it's a shame because this is one of the better short tracks out there.
I have to agree. It does remind you in a lot of ways of Richmond, right? But it is a little bit bigger than Richmond, and that does mean that it is a bit faster as well. In fact, a lot of people have referred to Iowa as the short track that races like a speedway, and I think there's no better term to fit a short track than this one. And that's even what has attracted series like IndyCar to even make a few trips down on over here to this beautiful little facility. And I'm just glad that we could definitely pay it homage here tonight in the Winter Series.
Going to be looking for a couple of key things over the course of tonight's race. Of course, I would say survival is always going to be a story. I thought the same thing was going to be true last week in Fontana when we had a very early yellow in that race. I started telling myself, all right, this thing could get a little bit messy. That race went on to only have 2 cautions, Nolan, but we have not seen a short track race like this. So there's the one story like we talked off right over the bat, right? Different kind of tracks, different opportunities for drivers with different skill sets to strive. But we haven't seen what this group of drivers does on a short track. You're going to be on top of each other a lot more. It'll require significantly more discipline than the likes of Daytona and Fontana that we've seen thus far.
It's going to be a whole different ball game here tonight. Of course, it's a short track, right? It does not drive anything like Fontana or Daytona for the 2 opening rounds. I mean, Daytona and Fontana, you can compare some things about them, right? But the similarities really and where the draft plays into effect. Iowa doesn't even have that going for it. It's all down to the driver. It's down to how aggressive they can get down on the power. Draft can be played very little into tonight's race, and I think that means we should be in for a good one.
And with that being said, qualifying has drawn to a close. Let's go trackside and take a look at your SimSpeed Shop starting grid. Liam Sheen puts the team on pole position with a 23.820, and he will bring us to the green flag this afternoon alongside Anthony DeBarro. Jaron Weinmaster, great qualifying effort for the driver in the number 48 machine, who will start in 3rd position, and Brandon Six will start from 4th. Championship leader Andrew Freenosh starting in the number 5 spot. He's ahead of Brandon Bowie, who rounds out row 3.
That will leave Kenny Brady and Michael Araya 7th and 8th. Round out your top 10. You got Bradley Burke and Joseph Tice. Sam Beato and Michael Johnson round out 11th and 12th.
Jeremy Miller draws the unlucky number 13 starting spot. He'll be alongside with Chris Rabel. Kyle Kamer 15th. Malik Ray in 16th. Ross Cato 17th. And Nick Silvers on the outside of row number 9 in P18.
That will leave Sean Casto at 19th with Cody Harris down at 20th. Grant Davis is 21st. Shane Ewing 22nd. Nicholas Barr and Brado Whitaker in 23rd and 24th.
And continue it on through. Matt Morris starts 25th. He's ahead of Kyle Trudell in 26. Josh Ball, William Schmidt, Dylan Parker, and Tim Johnston, the top 30. Mike Kaczynski, Trevin Valderrama, 31 and 32. That's a look at your Sim Speed Shop starting grid here this afternoon from Iowa. Let's talk more about the fastest short track on the planet, Iowa Speedway. 7/8 of a mile in length, 4-turn, D-shaped oval, progressively banked at 12 degrees on the bottom and 14 degrees up on the outside. And I think that progressive banking is what makes this racetrack so good for these NASCAR Xfinity Series cars. We're racing tonight for 150 laps or a 120-minute time limit. We will, as always, have 3 attempts at an overtime finish if necessary. And all these drivers know 4 sets of tires on the pit lane should they need them. Round number 3, night race, first short track action. What do you think is going to be a key to being successful in this one?
Patience is going to be absolutely crucial here tonight. You can't just power your way to the front of the draft like you were able to at Transit Daytona and Auto Club. You're going to have to use everything underneath you to make sure that you keep that thing on the track, point in the right direction, and who knows, maybe just hang around in the back. Maybe some guys will eliminate each other further up the road. You'll find yourself up at the front before long.
Pace car going to be down and in this time. We are happy that you're spending your Monday evening with us for more real sim racing action here on RaceSpotTV. The field will be in the hands of Liam Sheen. Comes into this afternoon just outside of the top 10 in the driver championship standings. As he puts the right foot down, we say, let's go racing from Iowa. Good stuff. First time through 1 and 2, side by side of the battle for the race lead. Anthony DeBarro going to try to wind up the 27 Toyota topside. He'll have the run off of 4. He leads at the end of lap number 1, and Liam Sheen forced to tuck in line.
We see this over at Richmond, right? That outside lane is where you want to be if you want to go and defend a position. It's no more the case there than it is here at Iowa, though. Iowa Speedway, a track where the outside lane can reign supreme if you want to not just mount a charge, but also defend against the position. And DeBarro did a fantastic job to take advantage of that early on. Managed to now finds himself up in the lead of this race. We'll have to see what, of course, that driver down second place will be able to do against him. One driver exiting pit road as well. Coming up on track, that's Dylan Parker, making a little bit of a late start. Had some connection issues that saw him miss the start of this race. He now joins the track, though, 2 down.
So a tough break for Parker out of the gate, and what you're seeing is the outside strong early. Windmaster used it to get 4th. Behind him, Andrew Friedosh running a little bit lower in the 88 Chevrolet. He's ahead of this trio. The 34 Bowie up top. Kenny Brady's trying to work the bottom. Brady has not had the results that he's wanted so far this year in the Martin Sports Ford Mustang. He's on the bottom. Bowie might get clear in the Battle Beaver Toyota, and that brings up last week's winner, Michael Araya, in that chrome number 44 Sim Speed Shop Chevrolet, trying to use that increased bacon on the outside line to rip his way on by, but Kenny Brady doing a good job of being honest on the bottom, and in fact up the road, look at Friedosh making the pass on Jaron Windmaster to get up to P4.
Bowie's also going to pull our Windmaster from the outside lane. Kenny Brady looks to follow 3 wide now into turn number 1. You've got Laraya on the bottom side. Laraya's going to go pick up 2 for 2, but it's not going to be for long. Look at Brady once again working the top side, using that as an offensive line. That's working so far. Brady's been able to pick up a couple of spots already. He's just gone past here at Windmaster. Now working on Michael Laraya, and I like what he's doing here, right? Making sure to keep it in tight and parked in the middle lane on corner exit. That prevents Laraya from being able to get the hammer down on corner exit, especially out of 4, and will force him down below onto a bit of a lower line, forces it to get out of the gas, and stalls out his run from the bottom.
And he's going to try it again, doing his very best to be persistent. The battle between Laraya and Brady is for P6, and you can see that 44 pushing it, but he wants to be able to get out to the fence, and with that little bit of a squeeze that Kenny Brady put on him, Brady is going to get the spot, and he holds P6. Spinner behind, and a caution flag is out. Jeremy Miller is involved. though, is another car, so a handful of drivers. I think Bradley Burke be the second driver involved in this, and Jeremy Miller's not happy at all. What happened to the 13? Well, let's watch.
Oh, Cody Harris just threw it in there, pushed up into Miller, and the Bradley Burke was just an innocent bystander there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of anger. Jeremy Miller obviously very frustrated. The overhead view is going to give us a good look, right? Miller's slow because he was on the bottom off of the corner, but then the 95 checks up behind the 5. So he looks to the middle, and I think that's just a bit of an advantageous move by Cody Harris to try to make the inside work there. I mean, you could see from the overhead, Nolan, the back end on the 28 was stepped out even before the contact. Just a bit of an overcommittal, I think.
Yeah, sometimes you get a little bit over-aggressive, right? This is the look on board for what Nick Silver saw, and I think that kind of says the story. I mean, talk about just getting clear through the middle. I mean, Miller cleared the path right to him and took out Berg with him as well. So it's unfortunate for both drivers. They are finding themselves with a lot of damage now. They might be out of contention for a race win now in this one. A couple of drivers are down to pit road. I see Nick Silver is down to the lane, and you're looking at Brandon Bowie at the moment, who's also down and in, as well as that. Back to, I believe, track what could be Davis in pit road as well.
Yeah, well, Bowie's a big decision because he pits from the top 5, but that's kind of it. I mean, Burke, Miller, Silver, and Davis also down to the pit lane. A lot of those drivers in for service. You could see some right side damage on Bowie's number 34 machine there. That came from early contact in this race back on lap number 2. He made contact with the 48 of Jaron Winemaster. Winemaster put Bowie into the outside wall, and I'm curious if that's why Bowie came down to the pit lane, was to get some damage fixed, Nolan, but I mean, he only spent 15.5 seconds in the box, so that's kind of looking just like a 4-tire stop and nothing more. Of course, it's a short racetrack, right? So it's quicker to lap around this place. You can't really sit on the pit lane for all that long to get damage without losing a lap. So even the guys who came down for some repairs, Miller and Burke, were only able to spend some 30 seconds in the box before they had to get going because nobody wants to lose the lead lap this early.
And you speak of, Brandon Bowie having to maybe come down to fix damage on taking much longer than what you get on a 4-tire stop. Well, Bowie's back down to pit road now, which I think tells me that you're right. I mean, he was down in the pit road. He just didn't want to go a lap down to the process, and I can't say I blame him. I mean, the damage clearly won't be affecting him all too much if he's not too concerned about leaving pit road very early without getting much of it fixed. Either that, or he could have just wanted to take the 4 tires and fuel, go around to catch up to the tail of the field, then come down and actually get all the damage fixed in one go. He's been stopped in there for about 21 seconds now. So it's a bit of an understandable thing to, have to realize, isn't it?
It is, and, we talked about some of the issues as well. Dylan Parker missing the start of this race with a connection issue. He dropped 2 laps down. He got waved by, so he is now only 1 lap off of the race leaders. So that's progress for him as he's able to get a little bit closer on through. Lights still on top of the pace car. Good opportunity to remind you that coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by our friends at Sim Speed Shop. Sim Speed Shop manufactures sim racing hardware that utilizes the best components available, as well as mixing in real-world components to their products to give you the most realistic racing experience possible. Customize your hardware and rig today by visiting simspeedshop.com for more information. Proud title sponsor of the 2022 Real Sim Racing Sim Speed Shop Winter Series. And we mentioned earlier in the season, Olin, that these drivers will have the opportunity to race for much more than just a trophy this year, courtesy of our friends at Sim Speed Shop. Not only is there some hardware on the line, but there is some sim racing hardware available as well. Sim Speed Shop going to be providing a push-to-talk, a Sim Speed Shop oval wheel with an integrated push-to-talk button box as well to the top driver in the championship. So that's a $300 value in some sim racing hardware also going to the champion, courtesy of Sim Seats Up.
Is it too late, Evan, for me to sign up as a driver and just get about a
right?
500-point bonus? We're friends,
exactly.
Right?
Let's just jump behind the wheel and see how it goes, right?
Fingers crossed. You've done it in the IROC series with mixed results, I dare to say. So who knows?
I had my moments. We saw Dylan do it back in the day, right? So Wouldn't be the first time. We'll see how it shakes out. Restart coming up, 13 laps down, 137 laps to go from Iowa. The pace car going to dive down to the safety of the pit lane this time. Anthony DeBarro in control. Green flag back in the air. This race is underway again.
Race underway and already looking 3 wide into turn 1. Malik Ray up the inside of Michael Johnson with Sandietto on the bottom. DeBarro still clear up in front, and it's getting tight behind. Malik Ray getting into it with Sandietto down the back straightaway. They're all checking up in the background here. There you see the number 7 car, who was also having a bit of a moment. Kyle Trudell, I believe, might have gotten into it just a touch with Sean Casto and Kyle Kamer out of turn 2.
It is really tricky, and you can see as the back of the field is all sorts of spread out. On the bottom there is Whitaker and some of the other drivers as they try to find a spot in line. You got Shane Ewing just breaking out ahead of the 7 at Trudell. And, I mean, really nobody knows what lane they want to be in. That gold 52 of Casto slides up, and he'll get crossed over as the 6 car goes underneath him. So Josh Ball, who started back in 27th, is on the charge. He wants to look underneath to make this one a fight for 18th and 19th. Top side too good, though. Castro shakes him off at William Schmidt, 79 now. Going to try to pass on the outside.
And that outside lane has been coming into force big time here so far in this race. Schmidt looking to take full advantage of that, but Josh Ball still has got the advantage up on the bottom side. Up in front as well, there is Liam Sheen having a go at Andrew Freenot for second. Not able to get there, though. The 92 JDR Graphics Chevrolet having to dive back to the bottom of 3 and 4, but Freenot, we've seen him before on these short tracks, right? He loves ripping that high side, and he is looking mighty wide and handsome while doing so, right? Freenot has been consistently being able to utilize outside lanes at tracks like Bristol, Richmond, and more. He's doing the same here at Iowa.
And you can see the battle inside of the top 10 as Brandon 6 working on the outside of Kenny Brady. Kind of an unconventional entrance there as he had to squeeze his way to the outside. Nose to nose, slight advantage to Brady in the battle for 4th at the moment. And you can see Kenny Brady not going all the way to the bottom until right there. It's a very late entry for Kenny Brady there. Some drivers will refer to as diamonding the corner, where you enter shallow and you kind of slide up in the center and then point it off. He is just a very late entry, both ends of the racetrack. And again, it's enough to keep 6 alongside him, but Brandon 6 is inching forwards slowly, and Kenny Brady clearly thinking that Brandon 6 is working at the tires, thought that he was going to kind of force him out of this. I mean, he's going to squeeze him to the outside wall. No holds bar in the battle for P4, and Kenny Brady is doing everything he can to shake off Brandon 6, but he can't do it.
I think the only reason why Brady has not fallen back to Brandon 6 at the moment is because he's been holding him up towards the outside lane right by the wall, right? He's not allowing Brandon 6 to pinch him down to the inside line. It's very much vice versa at the moment. Usually it's the top guy that does the pinching. This time it's the other way around. Kenny Brady not giving an inch to Brandon 6 at the moment. That's what's keeping 6 at bay. On the right side of your screen, on board Mariah, who's got front row seats to this one. Now Mariah can get close enough. With how high up Brady and 6 are being in 3 and 4, I think a sneak attack to the inside probably isn't all that out of the question.
And Brady finally got the run that he needed. You can see Michael Laria's perspective for the right-hand side. The inside's open. Laria's going to go all the way down there because Kenny Brady's been leaving it open, but he does need to use that bottom, I agree with you, to just get the job done. And there it is. Brandon 6 finally rolls over and lets him go. Laria now, not all the way down to the yellow. It's funny. Now, when you're in a side-by-side battle, the bottom isn't the bottom, right? It's about a car length up. And then when you're on your own, you go all the way down. It looks like a much lower line this time for Laria. And after we saw so many drivers want the top on the very first run of this race, more drivers thinking about the bottom. But Brandon 6, a successful defense that time. Laria will not roll over. He fights back down to the inside, and you can see way up the hill, Anthony DeBarro, 1.3 seconds in front as the race leader, well ahead of this battle here inside of the top 10.
And this time, finally, Brady gets clear. Brandon 6 trying to work with him, though. Is he going to look for the inside? Doesn't look like it, right? He's going to be looking to keep it on that high side. Brandon Six does not want to try to use the inside lane, and I can't say I blame him. It is such an abrasive track on the tires. When you go down to the low side, it just chews those tires up. You want to try to utilize that outside lane as much as you can and making sure you have the pace there in the longer run of things, and that's what Brandon Six is able to do. I mean, you saw how much he faded it back when he ended up getting a bit tight with Kenny Brady on the back straightaway, and close that gap right back in by the time they hit turn 1.
Here's a good perspective with Jaron Winemaster, who has slid back. You can see -4 spots from where he started this race in the 3rd spot. He's under fire by one of the NASCAR Road to Pro Contender Series drivers. That is Malik Ray underneath. Slided off at 2. 1-4. Didn't really want to stick down onto the bottom. Was able to try again, and now the Sim Seats Ford Mustang looks down to the inside again, fighting for 7th position. Almost clear, not quite. And Winemaster keeps his foot in it. He is not going to roll over for anybody.
Now that right there tells that Malik Ray is world championship material. 99% of drivers that I have seen, that car would have been hooked into the outside wall faster than you could blink. But Malik Ray did a fantastic job to keep that thing wrestled under control despite rubbing up against Winemaster. How about the slide job though? Gets clear, Winemaster gives him the bumper, and now a late block into turn 1. And Winemaster is going to be put under fire, number 7 because of that.
Aggressive stuff. And listen, Malik Ray is the driver trending up, right? Malik Ray is +9. Jaron's the driver trending down. He's now -6 with Nieto having gone around it. But just because Malik Ray was faster doesn't mean that, you know, Jaron Winemaster has to pull over. So he stood his ground. One car squeezed him a little bit. He repaid the favor by giving him that little bit of a shot to the back end, and that's just aggressive short track action. 30 laps in to tonight's 150 lap contest. And Emily Gray will set his sights on the likes of Lariah in 6th, next in line. You can see the intervals left-hand side of your screen. One thing I've noticed it as well just by monitoring that, Nolan, Anthony DeBarro, the fastest car on track. He is pulling away from Andrew Freenosh, who sits in P2.
2 seconds clear, and on a track like this, that basically is equivalent to about a third to half a straightaway. And by the time Freenosh fully gets clear out of 4, DeBarro is about 100 feet behind start finish. So it is a massive gap, and you can see, you know, from that bit of a wider angle down the front straightaway, Freenosh not even in the same shot anymore to Anthony DeBarro. DeBarro is continuing to pull away. There you can see Freenosh all the way in the back. That's the distance between your top 2, with still just under 2 seconds the gap. I think that kind of proves right there DeBarro is going to be the man to beat tonight.
He has been very good tonight. And yeah, we talk about, well, where are these drivers in terms of the championship fight as we take another look in at the battle for 4th position. DeBarro hasn't been incredible to the start this season. He comes into tonight only having made 1 start, and you know, that kind of immediately, Nolan, takes you out of contention, right, for the championship if you miss a race in a 10-week campaign. So just tough break for him. And, you know, we'll see what can he do, right, for the rest of this season and try to get himself, you know, into a conversation. Maybe get a top 10 out of the championship at the time it's all said and done. But DeBarro's been fast when he's been here. Just needs to make consistent starts as Winemaster, again, playing defense. Michael Johnson is the number 39 Chevrolet. Joseph Tice is the orange Mountain Dew Chevrolet behind in the number 11 spot. Those are the drivers that he's contending with now, and you're on board with Tice.
And just in front of him, you can see the Mara Racing Network Chevrolet of Michael Johnson rounding around the outside lane. And you also saw right when he cut to it, got a bit tight between Winemaster and Johnson out of turn 2 a couple of laps ago. They almost made contact into the outside wall, but they managed to keep it clean. And I will say this, there's been a lot of battling so far on this green flag run, but it's all been clean battling as well. A lot of it's been, you know, very respectful amongst these drivers. Nobody's been making any moves that, you know, they wouldn't necessarily be able to make. Everybody's been very confident in their abilities so far. And that's what's allowing for these guys to stay as condensed as they are, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the same thing at Fontana, but it's a very different kind of track. But here again as well, I mean, drivers are able to try different lanes, get the runs off of the corner. Look at the move by Michael Johnson there. He was totally behind, but he set that move up in 4, crossed down to the bottom. He's clear off of turn number 2. Does Widemaster want to force the issue? Of course he does. Back down to the inside. And Johnson prepared. He's going to go all the way up top to try to wind it up. Oh, they touch though. Oh, more contact. Tice gets into him. Widemaster spins. Caution at lap 38. That one just a couple too many touches. And Widemaster, the one who loses out.
What a save from Chris Rabel as well. Just managed to avoid that one. So I think Michael Johnson had a bit of a run. Widemaster thought it was clear. Wasn't quite. Johnson got tagged by Joseph Tice, actually, and that sent him back down into the 48. And there you saw Rabel shooting sideways. He is just clipped on the back end by Widemaster. He managed to wrestle that 29 Southern Creek Mustang underneath him, though, and bring that thing back under control. So a couple of guys having some great car control there. And unfortunately for Widemaster, I think more just got caught in the middle, right? Widemaster pushed up somewhere with Chris Rabel, and there you see the wheel work.
It's a good catch. It could have been a lot worse as Rabel just got nicked on the way through. And normally when a car gets tagged like that, they are going straight up the hill, and he could have suplexed Tice or Harris and taken them out of the race, but instead he hangs on, and Widemaster, the driver who loses the most. So we saw a couple of drivers come down to the pit lane last time through. This is Wholesale Service coming across to take lap number 40 here at Iowa. Expect the field to go for 4 tires to fuel. It'll be about a 15-second stop to do so.
So, of course, DeBarro leads them down. Will he also lead them off? That's going to be a big ticket question at the moment, I think. Oh, DeBarro's missed his pit box, so he's definitely not going to be leading them off at this rate. Looks like 4 tires and fuel is going to be the strategy for everybody so far out there on track. Sure enough, first one off. Drag race, it will be, I think, Brady by a bit of a nose over Andrew Friedosh. 4 tires and fuel, able to get the strategy done towards the end of this race. So Kenny Brady, I believe, will take the race lead now. And Anthony DeBarro, thanks to this pit box, is all the way back in 7th.
Yeah, big gains by Brady, big losses by DeBarro. And listen, when you got the level of talent you do in this field, despite how good Anthony DeBarro looked on that last run, you really cannot afford to get away with mistakes like this. As you can see, he drops down and into the box. Funny enough, Nolan, he's in the yellow line painted on the racetrack, but iRacing says that is not precise enough and had to back it up.
And that is a bit unfortunate there. So it's DeBarro will have a little bit of work ahead of him, and who knows, we'll see what he can do for the back of the field. So far, we've only been seeing DeBarro on the defense, right? Trying to fend off guys with the lead on the restart before he's just been able to set sail. And interestingly enough, I have a feeling that Kenny Brady might have earned himself a penalty. He was our leader out. As I understand it, though, might not be the leader anymore.
That is correct. You can only drive through as many as 3 pit stalls in or out of the box, Nolan, and we talk about drivers making mistakes. Kenny Brady has had speed at points this season, had a great car this afternoon. He drove through too many pit stalls. The way he was able to get out of the pit lane so quickly is the fact that he drove through all the pit stalls, Nolan, that were in front of him. He qualified 7th, which means he drove through 6 pit stalls, gaining a significant advantage, especially here in Iowa, because the pit stalls being on the inside of a curved pit road is a significantly shorter distance. So that is how Kenny Brady got the positions gained. He's given an end to the longest line of penalty, and he's here to win, right? I mean, he's got 2 last place finishes to start the season. He's not here to points race. And getting sent to the end of the line will send that car to the garage. It will be last place finish number 3 in a row for Kenny Brady. And now I think this makes the mistake for Anthony DeBarro that much worse, because he was better than Andrew Friedosh, Nolan, but you do not dare hand Andrew Friedosh clean air. And through the mistake by DeBarro and the penalty to Brady, Friedosh is now the race leader.
And we've seen this before. All Frinosh needs is to get about 2 car lengths in front, and he is gone. It's how he's claimed so many victories, of course, being the winningest driver in RSR history. It's what got him those victories that ended up getting him the win in the RealSimRacing SimSeeds Cup Series in 2021. And it's what could earn him yet another win to add to his already impressive resume here at Iowa.
So the long caution flag periods here at Iowa will draw to a close. This is caution flag number 2 of the night as we close in on 1/3 distance in tonight's Sim Speed Shop 150. No drivers claiming responsibility for the last incident. That one will go to a post-race review. So the pace car going to be off and away when we cycle around this time, and let's see what Andrew Frinosh wants to do. It's the first time that the 88 Chevrolet has been in control. Green flag back in the air.
And already cleared by those 2 car lengths he might need. Sheen's got to get to the bottom side and quick, but Brandon Six is there looking to party. But Brandon Six, between all his offensive maneuvers on the top side so far, not really been able to do anything for the bottom. He's not going to do anything for the bottom this time around as Sheen gets clear. He'll try to charge down Frinosh now before that number 88 Chevrolet can get too far out in front before he's too far back to cash. Nieto going to be side by side with Six, just tucked in behind Sheen as well. Side by side further back as well.
And Nieto squeezed up to the outside, but is going to make that car work. He also has the 27 to borrow with him. Meanwhile, on the bottom, Six, trailed by Lariah, trailed by Malik Ray, who is kind of working in both lanes right now as he watches on from the number 7 spot. Biggest mover behind him, Cody Harris, plus 12 in this race thus far, but eventually the outside pays out, especially on fresh tires. It seems like you're able to maximize that run off of the quarter. Let's watch DeBarro here from on board with Cody Harris. He's going to get the run off the turn. Oh, they touched there. Man, he was not clear, and Brandon Six may have cut him a break, and eventually DeBarro does get 4th out of it.
And now here's Malik Ray looking to be 3 wide with Lariah. The 44 is going to back out of that one on entry to turn 3. Wise move there for Lariah, 3 into 1. Usually doesn't work out. But even Malik Ray, right, struggling with how much Brandon Six has shown he is good on that outside line. That's where the number 66 has got all of his pace at the moment, and back end is just starting to slide around just a little bit. One of that's on fresh tires, right, and that's just how he likes to drive his car with it, that back end kicking out a little bit. Nieto gonna get around DeBarro as well. So even DeBarro's having struggles from the bottom side.
Yeah, he really hasn't seen a ton of traffic, right? I mean, he started up in second position, but he got the race lead, lap number 1 from Liam Sheen, and didn't look back. He has led 38 of the 48 laps that have been run so far, and you can see in traffic, that thing just does not rotate, and I mean, he's parking the bus on the exit of the corner, completely holding back Brandon Six, who had to roll way out of the throttle to let him go, and what it has done is given Liam Sheen an opportunity to try to make up for the poor start of this race. But Sam Nieto on the top side, the number 2 discount tire Ford Mustang, gonna wind it way up, and he'll go from a car length behind to a car length ahead. What a run off of turn 4, and now Sam Nieto on the bumper of race leader Andrew Frinosh.
Frinosh got those 2 car lengths clear. You thought maybe he'd be able to set sail. That has not been the case, though. Frinosh has been struggling early on. And how about Nieto scrambling to the inside? Frinosh is about to give this lead up if he's not too careful. This time, though, Frinosh, like you said, able to wind it up and power through around the outside lane. Nieto had to use the bottom side instead. Didn't quite work out for the end of that last time by. But if you're the race leader, how much do you really want to gamble by opening the inside lane so much like that?
Again, down to the inside. And listen, Nieto's made most of his passes up top, so I think it's a smart move by Frinosh to work the outside on the defensive line. Puts the onus on Nieto to figure something out. And look at Anthony DeBarro. He had a big run off of the corner. Liam Sheen saw it coming, didn't even want to fight it. Let the 27 go to the bottom. takes the spot away. Liam Sheen is very clearly trying to stay out of trouble. But now that DeBarro opens up the bottom, he'll stick the nose in there. But the DeBarro Sliders Toyota will slide off to the front. His Super maintains P3. So I think for once in a blue moon, Andrew Freenach does not have far and above the best car, Nolan, but he is still an extremely smart race car driver, right? His racecraft IQ so high. He knows how to drive these cars, where to put them, and that's why he's just riding the top. Because if he's going to make you go low, you're going to be the one eating up your tires. You're going to be the one having to try slide jobs to clear him, and he knows that.
He's a very smart driver, right? That's, again, what has earned him so many race wins in the past, and we're going to continue to see him utilize all of those racing smarts to keep guys like Nieto at bay. This time, though, Freenach going to the bottom side. This is the first time we've seen the 88 car really go down to that low line all race long so far. He usually has been running the top side so far. Nieto, though, is not able to get the run he needs off the corner, the amount of proper offensive into turn number 1. So I am a bit curious here, what Freenach's thoughts are at the moment. Is he trying to maybe see if he can start to work a proper racing line and use that to start to build a bit of a gap with the guys behind?
And now the issue for Nieto is he wasn't able to capitalize on that battle for the race lead, but he had the first opportunity, and now he may be stuck because Anthony DeBarro is on the move. You can see the onboard look from Liam Sheen, who again seems to just be very passive in all of this. Remember, he let DeBarro go, kind of waiting on seeing if that 27 can get up there. He really struggled right on the restart. I mean, it didn't seem like DeBarro could have put a foot right. But since then, he's been able to balance things out and is doing his very best to try to work in dirty air, something he's not used to, and get back up there and challenge for the race lead. I mean, Liam Sheen is all over him, though. I'm not sure I'm convinced, Nolan, Liam Sheen isn't better. And now he'll go to the inside, try to make a move for third.
Well, we haven't seen what DeBarro's been like in traffic, right? He has been consistently running out in front all day long until that latest caution period. That was the first time we've been able to see DeBarro fall back into traffic, and he's not been working through it, I have to say, as good as I thought he would be. I thought he would be up at the front of this thing within the first, 4 or 5 laps, maybe, to be charging away, considering he had almost a 2-second gap over Freenach when this race first went green. He's struggling, though, just to hang on to third place at the moment, let alone try to close up to Freenach.
And that push and pull, the gain and loss, I mean, it seems like every lap, somebody else inside of the top 5 is the fastest car on track. Last lap, it just happened to be Anthony DeBarro shaking off a challenge from Liam Sheen. He sits in third. We are past 1/3 distance as race leaders get to put lap number 60 of 150 behind us. Anthony DeBarro has still led the most laps at 38. So he has, at the moment, a single bonus point. So does Liam Sheen for leading a lap, Kenny Brady for leading a lap, and Andrew Freenach for leading 20. Freenach could, in theory, take over the top spot if he leads another 18 laps and pay out another bonus point. As you see at the right-hand side of your screen, quiet tonight, but that's Grant Davis in the 24, working underneath Nick Mara. You got the 39 of Michael Johnson in the mix. Nick's brother Matt Mara just behind as well in the 23. So that's all mid-pack, some 5 seconds off of the race lead.
You can also see that number 24 machine just in the mix of things as well. Grant Davis has been doing some steady work to try to work his way a couple of more spots up the order. He did start 21st place. He is in a battle with Matthew Mara as well, down in now the battle for 20th and 19th on the course. Matthew Mara is doing a good job to run that outside line. Here comes Sean Casto, collected in a bit of an incident earlier today by just a small margin, and also just barely avoided our opening wreck as well, that Cody Harris ended up being responsible for by some margin as well. Cass could make it clear out of the middle. He'll make that pass work on Davis, who I think is kind of stalled out in his pace so far.
Yeah, again, I mean, the bottom works if you clear them, right? I mean, typical slide job. If you're going to put a slide on them, you got to go to the inside, short way around, but then you're hoping that you clear them off the corner. So you know you're going to be slower, but if you pull up in front of them, you either make them make a very aggressive crossover, or they lift out of it, and it just didn't work for Grant Davis there. I mean, he felt like a rock. It is now down into the number 23 spot, and I mean, it may not be getting any easier anytime soon. There's Jeremy Miller's number 13. We haven't talked about him since he was involved in an early incident. Chris Rabel's there as well, and look on the bottom. Here comes Dylan Parker. Did not have incredible times in the practice session, but was on the border. A top 10 speed, was 2 laps down. He's back on the lead lap and is very aggressively trying to get around the 24. Davis can't do so. He nearly got into Tim Johnston that time at 1 and 2. Johnston's on the bottom fighting against Braden Whitaker.
He's still doing a good job on hanging tight with it, right? I think what he's got to do, though, is try to find a way around to the outside line. That has been the place where you want to be if you want to properly go for one of these positions. But another problem for Dylan Parker, right, at this point, now that he is on the bottom, he can't necessarily afford to start to drop back, to slot back in line. We saw this actually happen with Grant Davis, right? He got freight trained on the outside line for about 4 or 5 spots where he managed to find a way up there. And now he's been running that outside line of defensive ever since, and has stopped the bleeding. Dylan Parker, not about, I'd imagine, to make himself go through that same struggles as well. Also noticing Braden Whitaker, Matthew Mara also running the top side. Tim Johnson has been trying to work on Matthew Mara for the better part of 5 to 10 laps now and hasn't been able to get through, which again goes to show that it is an unbelievably tricky track to overtake out, even from around the outside line.
It is, and listen, you're going to have the question of if it's hard to overtake and hard to pull away, then is it good racing, right? I think the question can be answered is, do you have the chance? I think, Nolan, anytime cars are working in multiple lanes, it's good racing, right? I mean, you can't make it too easy to pass, but if everybody is in a single line and you cannot try, I think that's the problem. But right here, it's in the driver's hands. You got one driver high one corner, the next corner they're low. You're taking a look on board with the 23 Matthew Barrow working the VR goggles here. He's in the midst of all this, running up against the fence, whereas the 56 of Tim Johnson is on the bottom. That is what I want to see in short track oval racing, is drivers working multiple lanes, and that's what you're seeing in this battle for 21st on the back. They are side by side, 3 rows deep that time in turn 3.
This is going to be a bit of an interesting battle here to see how this is going to develop. And on the left-hand side as well, you can see right-hand side, you can see Malik Ray continuing to work on Anthony DeBarro in the battle for 3rd place as well. So battle starting to pick up. And when you look around the track, a slide out from Parker could cut off the run for Matthew Mara. Mara going to instead give it the bumper down the front straightaway instead of trying to pass him back. That'll open up the door for Rabel to look one up the inside of Braden Whitaker. And again, Malik Ray still trying to work on DeBarro, but is now putting himself against defense from Brandon 6. We've seen before. He's so consistently good around the top side if he can get some clean air up there.
And now looking at all of the action, split screen style. The right-hand side is the likes of Liam Sheen on the back, really battle for 4th as Ray and DeBarro are side by side. Anthony DeBarro falling off on the long run. And the battle on the left-hand side, the one we have been following, Matthew Barra on back. About 22nd position and about 8.5 seconds off of the race leader. It's interesting because once DeBarro got up to 3rd, Nolan thought it was a matter of time that he was going to get all the way there, right? But wasn't able to get to Nieto. And he really strived on the long run last time. But, I mean, he's getting eaten up now. Sheen got back through. Malik Ray's gotten around, and Michael Araya may be next. I just wonder if DeBarro had to use up those tires earlier in the run, trying to fight through traffic, unlike when he was able to maybe take it easy and conserve them when he was the race leader but in clean air. And this is the worst DeBarro's looked all night. Still a top 5 car easy, but we just haven't seen him slipping like this since it looked like he was the best car in the field no more than some 40 laps ago.
And even Brandon 6 hasn't been able to have the best of runs in his number 66 car as well. I wonder if it really just is those tires, right? I mean, we've been out here for quite a while on this run now. I do believe this will be one of the longest green flag runs we've now seen all race. You wonder maybe as the tires were in, it makes that outside line just a little bit less competitive as well. It seems to certainly be a bit of a case for guys like 6 and DeBarro who tried to open it up again and instead only found themselves slipping further and further back. And that's one of the challenges you have to deal with. We are past halfway home
in tonight's Sim Speed Shop 150. So let's take a look at your Sim Speed Shop Midway race break. Andrew Friedosh is checking out 1.5 seconds ahead of Sam Nieto in the battle for first and second position. Malik Ray up to a race high P3. He's ahead of fourth place Liam Sheen. Michael Araya rides the number 5 spot at the moment. He's outpacing DeBarro, although DeBarro just got passed by Brandon 6. So give 6 P6. Drop DeBarro down to a race low P7. Cody Harris is in 8th position, fighting with Joseph Tice, who's in 9th, and Kyle Kamer rounds out your top 10.
That will put one Nick Silver in 11th place with Ross Cato in 12th. Brandon Bouya is 13th with Kyle Trudell in 14th. Michael Johnson down to 15th with William Schmidt 16th. Nicholas Mara in 17th. Tim Johnston 18th place, but that's still plus 12 where he started today. Sean Casto, Dylan Parker 19th and 20th.
Considered on 21st position is Shane Ewing at the moment. Chris Rabel checked in Hinzik a little bit ago. His Mara Race at Edward Ford Mustang has slipped down to 22nd. Grant Davis is 23rd. Matt Mara is 24th. And Jeremy Miller 25th after getting damage early in this race. Your third place starter, Jared Weinmaster, way back in 26th, and Brady Whitaker 27th, Mike Kaczynski 28th, Josh Ball 29th, Trevin Valderrama 30th, and Bradley Burke in 31st position is the last driver on the lead lap. Only Kenny Brady, who got that penalty, has decided to go to the garage to park it. He is at the back of the field in P32. That's a look top to bottom at your Midway race break. Sim Speed Shop manufactures sim racing hardware that utilizes the best components available, as well as mixing in real-world components to their products to give you the most realistic racing experience possible. Customize your hardware and rig today by visiting simspeedshop.com for more information. Proud title sponsor of the 2022 Real Sim Racing Sim Speed Shop Winter Series. Some good green flag pace to this race. We have had to this point 2 caution flag incidents on the night, and you look back to what we've seen in the past at a place like this. Daniel Eberhard Nolan won this race at Iowa last year in this series. Only 2 yellows in that one. So yeah, it's a short track, but Iowa's not, at least in this series, historically a sloppier, messy racetrack, and it looks like we're seeing a lot of what we saw last year here on track tonight.
And that is one reason why I love this series so much, right? So many series and leagues, they will dread coming to short tracks, especially if they're more oriented around speedway racing, such as RSR is, because typically the races are a bit more messier. I know the drivers certainly love it, but it's more a question about, the league admins tend to dread that sort of thing a little bit more. But I look forward to races like these because this league, time and time again, proves that they can race on these short tracks just as competitively and more exciting, put on a more exciting race, in some cases more so than what you get in your traditional mile-and-a-half speedway.
Yeah, Iowa, it seems, a lot of the tracks here get moved around, right? One year the road course race is Montreal. The next year it's Mid-Ohio. One year it's Michigan. The next year it's Fontana. Iowa has found itself as a staple because, yes, it kind of looks like a Richmond. But as far in terms of how it races, Iowa is such a unique and exciting track. Anything under a mile that's multiple, grooves and progressively banked, I think is great for this NASCAR Xfinity Series package, and I think is what puts on good racing like this. Also, Andrew Friedosh has just led his 45th lap. He has overtaken Anthony DeBarro's 38 for the most laps led so far tonight. So, a long way to go. 64 laps left in this race, but at the moment, Friedosh looking for max points. Remember, 40 points to the race winner. There's a single bonus point available to everybody who leads a lap, but there is another bonus point available to the driver who leads the most. And despite being P5, Nolan, in qualifying, second in practice, both of which were, behind the likes of Nieto and then Sheen and some of these other guys, and thinking, hey, maybe Andrew's not going to have it tonight, he has really taken over after the mistake by DeBarro and the penalty to Brady gave him sole possession of the front rows. You see that 39 car, Michael Johnson, right now, fighting with Kyle Trudell. This is a battle for 13th position. And how about some pit lane action? Brandon Bouya, Sean Casto, both down pit road at lap number 88. They've been on these tires for some 46 laps. There's just a little over 60 laps to go, so I wonder if this is a short pit call to go for 4 tires and fuel and try to go to the end of this race without another stop.
I know they're not the only ones to be thinking about that type of strategy. Will Schmidt just came on down to the lane. Same story with Matthew Mara. You look back off of turn 2. That's Kyle Jadot running the top side on his inside, the 56 car of Tim Johnson in the USAA Toyota at the moment. Look, you see that Supra can power throughout the bottom side. Stepping out a little bit, though, pushing up towards Trudell on the top side. They're both trying to run down Michael Johnson in the number 39 Chevrolet just up the road from them. But so far, this side-by-side battle for 14th place has just been raging on for so long between these two drivers. You start to wonder if they're ever going to split apart from each other.
And there's the slide up onto the outside, and the position is held for the moment by Tim Johnston. And now we'll start to see drivers space themselves out. Who's been able to save tires early in the run? I mean, this is by far the longest green flag run of the night that we have seen. But I mean, the magic number is about 5 laps away from being able to split this current green flag run in half to the end of the race. And some drivers will want to do that. Some drivers will want to mix it up a little bit. I mean, we haven't really talked much about fall off tonight, Nolan. There's not a ton of it, admittedly, right? I mean, some tracks you see 2 to 3 seconds of fall off. There isn't a lot in that window there. And a caution, and Liam Machine, who was running in 3rd position, is turned around, and I believe it was an incident with a lapped car. We will have to take a look at the replay. Liam Sheen is running in 3rd position. He's lapping Trevin Balderrama. No problem there. And then Matthew Mara is coming around Nolan on fresh tires. Passes him in the middle. Oh, he just gets sideways, and there was nowhere for Liam Sheen to go.
He is livid at the moment. And we'll take a look at it from Matthew Mara. You'll see Liam Sheen just completely unsighted. That's a harsh break for Liam Sheen, who's got some pretty major right front damage now. This will obviously open up the pit window for a lot of other drivers, and it's a free ticket for all the guys that just came down to pit to get back onto the lead lap as a result. And I'll tell you right now, Sheen was not happy about that one. It doesn't feel good, right? You know, being taken out by a lapped car, but I think it's a slightly different when that lapped car is trying to get back around you because they're on fresh rubber.
Mara was saying, listen, I didn't expect it to get loose because Mara had to take a weird angle through the corner to try to pass him as the significantly faster car, and that's just really, really bad luck for Liam Sheen. So all of your race leaders are in. Sometimes, Nolan, you get a caution flag right after a couple of drivers started to pit. It benefits those drivers, right? They may cycle through to the race lead. But because this racetrack is so small with drivers running in the low 30s in lap times and a pit lane delta being in the 44-second range, anybody who already pitted is a lap down. So you're right. They're going to have to try to get back to the lead lap. They're not going to gain anything from this. And the race off of pit lane. Oh, you saw how close it was by Liam Sheen. But Andrew Freenosh barely hangs on to stay ahead of Malik Ray. So he will still, I think, maintain the net race lead. And when you can see Liam Sheen in the box, I have to think that's for damage repairs.
Now we'll take another look at this one here. This is the race out of pit road. And there you see Malik Ray coming on the right-hand side. Freenosh on the left, and just getting the nose ahead. And on the subject of some, pit road action as well, I have a bit of unfortunate news regarding Brandon Six, fading to the back end of the field. Busted, speeding 6 miles an hour over right at the cone.
Tough break. So that'll be a drop there. And how about Mike Kaczynski, who has stayed out to take the race lead in this one, Nolan? Stayed out. He has finally got the lap led. That's the tricky thing. A lot of drivers will stay out for a lap. But the problem is they'll never actually get a bonus point for the lap led because the race leaders will cross the start-finish line ahead of them on pit lane. So you're not going to lead that lap. And then the next time around, if you pit, you're probably going to get passed up, right? So he has to stay out 2 laps. So he has the bonus point. He has led a lap. And now he heads down to the pit lane. So Mike Kaczynski takes a bonus point for XPM. He will now go to the pit lane. That'll hand the race lead back off to Andrew Freenosh. And this doesn't do a ton to our strategy, Nolan, right? Everybody was going to be coming in now. And the point that I was going to make right before the yellow came out is there's not a huge difference, fresh tires versus old tires. Some tracks when there's 3 seconds of difference, if you short pit by 2 laps, that's immediately 5.5 seconds gained, right? I mean, you can undercut somebody. Not that that wasn't going to happen here tonight, but the tire difference was only about 1.2 seconds, fresh tires to the oldest of tires, so you weren't going to see huge swings. So the pit stop, or the caution flag comes kind of when everybody was going to pit anyways. Everybody should be good to the end of this race, so I'm not entirely sure how much this changes, other than, of course, the bad luck for the drivers who pitted before the caution flag came out. Bowie and Casto stuck a lap down. Really a huge blow for Brandon Bowie, who was the top 10 car for much of this race. Now finds himself scored way down in 26th, Nolan. Remember, he entered tonight 3rd in the championship at -11, so he's kind of the big storyline as of the time of the yellow.
It's unfortunate for him, and it's that you mentioned, of course, that Brandon Boo is in a bad situation. He still has to get waved around as well, which means not only is he 26th place, but he's not even going to be able to line up double file with everybody else. He's going to have to be single file behind other drivers to get a wave around with guys like Casto, Berg, and William Schmidt. So they got to scramble to get back around to the other end of the racetrack and line back up with the pace car, because the pace lap's not too long at Iowa. Hopefully he can get back there in time.
So now we try it again. We just saw a green flag run at about the distance of what's left. So we'll see if we can run this one out for the final 1/3. 2 real big names on the front row. The 2-time Winter Series champion, 3-time Cup Series, or 4-time now Cup Series champion Andrew Freenosh was a driver in the NASCAR Road to Pro qualifying iRacing Series, going up side by side against former Coke driver and current Contender Series driver Malik Ray. It's a very early start for Freenosh. Green flag in the air. 52 laps to go from Iowa. He's cleared at turn 1.
You saw him scare Malik Ray up the track as well. Entering turn number 1, did not want the number 1 car to launch an attack from the outside line right out of the gate like you knew Ray would try to do. Ray's going to try it here, though. Outside of 3 and 4, can he get the hammer down and wind up a punch out of turn number 4 down the front straightaway? Freenosh slides up in front, and Ray cuts to the bottom side, going for the race lead into turn number 1. Freenosh looking to pinch him in. I think Ray might get this spot up, though. He's got to get it here on the fresh run, but he's not quite clear. Just a quarter panel between them.
He'll have the bottom again, though, driving it down in 3 and 4. Freenosh going to try to wind this one up. Malik Ray not clear. Freenosh fights back on the outside, but things certainly tilted in favor of the 1 car. Caution. Who was in front at the moment of yellow as Ross Cato is turned around in the tri-oval?
And I think it might have been with, if I'm looking at this, I think it might have been Trudell. They were side by side at the moment when this got spun around. So Cato and Trudell looks like potentially having a bit of a scrap for this one. So 50 laps to go. Caution number 4, I believe, on the 9. Oh, Cody Harris inside line as well. 3 wide. Oh, it's Harris, not Trudell. Just hip checks Ross Cato and sends him around.
He was, I don't know if he knew the 7 was there, Nolan, because when they went into the corner, they were not 3 wide, right? The 7 was behind Cato. And as we went through the corner, Trudell was up there, so Cato could not move high enough, and I don't think that Cody Harris was aware of that, and just drove into the 12 of Cato, and it was a pretty soft spin. But look, the 7's not alongside the 12, not alongside the 12. Now he is, and Harris is expecting the 12 to go to the wall. He doesn't know that Trudell's there, and that's why he drives right into the line that the 12 was in, because he figured the 12 was going to be much higher.
So unfortunate for Ross Cato, and unfortunately, I'm not sure, though. I mean, you mentioned he might not have known the 7 was there, right? But sure, it would have been getting the 3 wide call.
Well, you would think, but I guess that goes down to if you've got a live spotter. The iRacing spotter will tell you 3 wide, but if you have a live spotter, right? I mean, what's that communication like? I mean, that's why if you're going to go away for the live spotter, which Nolan, I know a lot of people don't like to use, but honestly, it's really good, right? Compared to most video game spotters when it comes to racing, right? You don't get any more information aside from 3 wide, so you don't get to know which lanes come in and which lanes go, and that's when a live spotter can come into play. But certainly better than nothing. So you got to wonder, right? Is it a live spotter? Is it the automated spotter? I mean, that's a big factor. And another big factor is Freenosh, I think, was going to lose the race lead. Malik Ray had him dead to rights, but at the timing of the yellow, Andrew Freenosh was in the lead. So that's big because he gets to be the control car again, barely by inches.
You talk about, being in front at the buzz. I'm looking at it right now, and at the moment the yellow flag comes out, Freenosh in front. I kid you not, less than a second later, and Ray's nose pokes ahead. That is how close it was. So Freenosh has earned himself an extra few laps here where he'll be able to log them away, but I imagine he is already going to be strategizing in that number 88 Chevrolet to see how he can keep Ray behind him, because Ray has shown he is not afraid to start to mount the charge and apply the pressure, whether it comes from the bottom or the top.
And you saw that when he tried to clear for the race lead, Nolan, he almost drove up on Freenosh but didn't, right? We have seen Malik Ray be far more aggressive than he was in that moment at times. And I think that goes down to the fact that he knows Freenosh, right? I mean, Drew and some of the other guys, we talk about the Daniel Epperharts, the Agnell Phillips, some of the drivers who were in that qualifying series trying to race up to the contender series that Malik Ray is racing down in. When you're at that top level of sim racing, these guys know each other, right? I think Malik Ray has been far more aggressive with some of the non-pro drivers than he was there with Freenosh. So I have to wonder if that familiarity between those two gives Malik Ray a little bit of pause on being overly aggressive with the 88.
Well, who knows, right? I mean, it could end up being a bit of a case where Malik Ray is only going to be that much more determined to go back at him. I mean, he was so close to having the race lead that last time by. That would be huge, right? To have Malik Ray being able to push his way further up in this field and be able to take a win in the Winter Series. A really good start to the season so far. He has put on some very, very solid performances. He just hasn't been able to put together a win just yet, but he has got the potential, and he proved it right there by giving Freenosh a run for his money.
And now we will see what happens in terms of the, restart, run to the end of this race, and, what else is in store for this championship. We talked about Bowie with the big issues. He's back on the lead lap, Nolan, so that's a big storyline. He was third at the points. He uses this yellow to get back on the lead lap. He's a long way from home, back in 23rd. So Brandon DeBowie's got a long way to go, but all hope is not lost. Freenosh also has a control car, choosing the bottom, same place he was last time, so he'll be in control. He went very early last time, so maybe he assumes that Malik Ray is going to try to anticipate that that's what's happening. And maybe he'll wait a little bit longer and try to catch the one car cheating. We'll see. Field is in the hands of the 88 machine. Pace car going to be down and in this time through. 44 laps to go from Iowa, and there it is, the slower start. Freenosh, right foot down. We're back underway.
That stacked the entire inside line up. They almost had a wreck crossing start finish, but they all kept it together. And this time, Ray is not even close to being able to have the look up the inside of Freenosh just yet. Look a bit further back to Sam Nieto having a go at the moment on Michael Araya, screaming to the inside of turn 3. He'll manage to take that spot up and clear out of turn 4. And that will put Sam Nieto back up into these podium positions. They're side by side, deeper in the mid-pack, and it's getting all sorts of tight. You got Hornets nest of cars everywhere. You imagine it's only going to take that one little mistake. We've seen it before. It only takes a minuscule piece of contact before everything kicks off.
And look at the 3 wide here. Liam Jean is on the bottom of all of it as he's ended up in the middle of the racetrack, but they get to 2x2 with Johnston to pull it up. Sheed also pulls up in front of Dylan Parker, one of the other drivers who's been diligently working his way through the field tonight as well. up the road. Johnson side by side with Whitaker, the 7 to Trudell, trying to get underneath the 8 to Kyle Kamer. Haven't talked much about Kyle tonight. We are 3 wide on the front straightaway. The 7 now going to go underneath the SK Racing forward and a spin behind. Grant Davis is around, and the 66 of Brandon 6 is in the grass. Caution flag number 5.
That all started when Davis tried to mount a charge on the outside of Dylan Parker, and it did not go his way. I think one of the Mara brothers got into it. Might have been Nicholas Mara that got collected. 6, you mentioned, screaming into the grass. Winemaster actually got kicked up into the air for just a brief moment on the front end. Miller had to shoot the gap, and Rabel just squeaked through the center of that one as well. Look at it there. The checker for Dylan Parker sends Davis down into Mara. There's Weimaraster getting kicked up in the air. You had seen Chris Rabel just able to squeak through, and Ross Cato had that thing locked down, sliding sideways, and unfortunately it just gravitated into Winemaster.
Hey, that is a lot to unpack there. I mean, Parker goes up and slides on the nose of the 24, and look how far behind Cato was from where all of it started. Almost, but you could see, I mean, the wheels were locked up. He had nowhere to go and just kind of slid right into it there. I mean, there was a lot of touches that involved in that one, and it all started with the 3 and the 24 driving really hard. That just kind of stacked them all up.
Good grief. It's it all tends to kick off, right? Cautions do breed cautions, and short track's definitely a huge player in that one. So now I think this is where we'll start to see that caution counter slowly start to pick on up as this race goes further and further along. More and more drivers getting damage placed on their vehicles. I mean, heck, you even look up to guys like San Vieto. Even Vieto's got a bit of a scuff on his right front. Nobody has necessarily had the cleanest of nights so far, but for the most part, been able to avoid the worst of what could be cautions. And it starts to pick up a bit more when you get these cautions. Everybody gets stacked up together. And again, it's not uncommon, right, to see these guys get awfully close and making contact. One is usually fine. It's probably when you get like 5 of those little close moments all in the same spot. That's when it starts to create a problem.
A tough break in all of that for those drivers in the mid pack. Again, takes out some heavy contenders, but it avoids the cars at the very front. So Freenage still leading this race. Sam Nieto now in second position, and that's the big storyline here, is that under the yellow flag, Malik Ray came down pit road, took 4 tires at fuel. I believe that is fuel or tire set number 3 that Malik Ray has used. Of course, we mentioned a pre-race, you get 4 additional sets, so he's only got 1 set left. He's got fresh rubber, but he is way back in 21st. What a gamble from Malik Ray, who I thought on equal tires might have been better than Freenage as is.
I think it is worth noting that at the moment, these other guys have been out there for about 18 more laps on their tires. But then I think it's also worth, playing the devil's advocate, right? The fact that a lot of those laps have been under the yellow flags. They haven't necessarily been using them as much as you might need, but we've seen it before, right? Even about 4 or 5 lap pressure tires, that is enough to make some pretty big differences gap-wise and pace-wise on track. And we've seen this before. It has been the deciding factor in quite a few short track races in the past. So Malik Ray, you mentioned taking a serious gamble here, and who knows, maybe this could pay off for him, or it could all come crashing down around him. I mean, for a guy like Malik Ray, I mean, I'm honestly surprised we saw him fighting so far up the order in the first place. I mean, qualified 16th. You wouldn't expect him to be fighting up there like he did, but showing that he has got some serious race pace at least underneath him. Now that he's on slightly fresher rubber, I think he might be able to mount a bit of a charge, and who knows, maybe another caution or two to knock some guys in front of him out of the way. It could play into his advantage if he can avoid them.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised that Malik Ray qualified at all, right? I mean, he typically is either starting in the rear, driving through the field, or putting it up front. So interesting that he found himself middle of the road, but clearly very good in race trim, and is going to have to try to do it again. Is it possible? Absolutely. To your point, though, about the yellow flag fever as the lights go out on top of the pace car, I'm not sure that there are enough laps under green left in this race for he to be able to come back. And of course, depending on the timing of yellows, your top 15, 16 cars have been out there for 20 some odd laps. There's still 35 to go. Say we get a 10 to 15 lap run, then another yellow. They may all come back into pit again. And then Malik Ray would have the question of, do I burn my last set of tires? Or do I stay out and gain the track position on the back half? So tons of strategy still TBD as we race for the win in tonight's Sim Speed Shop 150. The pace car will be down to pit road. Andrew Friedosh in control of the field for the third consecutive time as he looks to lock up the most laps led bonus this afternoon. Another slow start. Now he's through the gears. Green flag flies. 35 laps to go.
Now, with no Malik Ray to apply pressure, Friedosh is clear to start to run away with the lead. Nieto having to work with Michael Laraya, and that has already given Friedosh a gap by about a quarter of a straightaway out in front in his bid for the race lead. Laraya clearing Nieto. Have to push up this time by out of 4. Nieto, though, winding up for a counterattack into turn 1, trying to make a run for second place. Might just be able to get one up the inside. You saw just behind them the 5 of Tice was sliding into that, but he managed to just wrestle it back underneath them.
And the 2-car ducks back in line. Now here comes Anthony DeBarro. Led a lot of laps early in this race. He wants to get into the mix. Look at Tice 3 wide, getting squeezed with Tim Johnston in the middle. They are fighting all over this virtual Iowa Speedway. Look at Nieto squeezing the 27 down. And Sam Nieto, topside, takes back P3 from Anthony DeBarro.
DeBarro's been good around that top side, though. Now Nieto's running the out inside lane, leaving that outside wide open for DeBarro to try to charge through. On the right-hand side, you saw Malik Ray make up another couple of positions, and DeBarro back down to the inside of Sam Nieto. Once again, making the charge for second place. In behind, drivers start to duke it out for spots in the midfield. DeBarro still working on Sam Nieto to try to go for podium position. All of this, we can just see Laraya trying to close up the gap to race leader Andrew Friedosh up the road. Battles everywhere you look, to the point where you don't know where to look at.
And you can see the 27 going for the counter. Right-hand side, that's Rabel and Casto. They're behind a 3-wide fight between Parker, Trudell, and Tice. I mean, this is almost one of those times, Nolan, that you need to be at the racetrack, right? So you can just see everything that's going on. Oh, and there it goes! Parker gets turned. A huge mess on the front straightaway and a yellow at lap 121.
They managed to get around. The good news for Malik Ray, he was in behind that, and this will allow him to kind of be able to have a bit of a chance to close up to some of the guys up in front. That was about an 8-car pileup total that got collected, and all of that mess. That is unfortunate for a lot of the drivers that were completely blindsided by that mess. It's not something you want to see. It's not something you expect to see. And all of this, Shane Ewing had the biggest save of the ball. Look at Dylan Parker getting turned around just up in front by Nick Silver, I believe it was. And there, you just saw Ewing at the 32 squeaking. Oh, never mind. Ran into Sean Castle coming back on track.
He tried.
So close.
Almost got through, and now's the question. Under yellow, do the race leaders want more tires? Friedosh to the apron. Yes, they do, and no late fakes means... Oh, no, there it is. Friedosh does fake late, and almost everybody else is down. Now, this might hurt Friedosh. He stays out. Kamer stays out. No surprise that Malik Ray stayed out because he had just pitted some 11 laps ago, but... I mean, you got a lot of cars to pit road, and now the cars not pitting going to be in the minority. And let's see, can Laraya be maybe the first driver with freshies?
Well, fingers crossed, and Laraya will try to be the first car on the fresh rubber just up in front. And there goes Laraya out of pit road. Watch those pit boxes. Nearly goes through the 4th. Turns out just at the 3. How about Silver, you saw? Almost getting physical with Anthony DeBarro on pit exit as well. They nearly made door-to-door contact. And all of this cycles Malik Ray through to 3rd place.
So Malik Ray is going to have a really good opportunity to win this race. But he is going to have older tires than the cars behind. Now, he has a buffer, so I think Malik Ray will lead this race before any of the cars who just pitted, right? Freenosh stays out, Kamer stays out. They're the only drivers on 29-lap-old tires. Then you got Malik Ray and Jeremy Miller, who both pitted on the last yellow. They've only got 12-lap-old tires. Same with the Brandon 6. His are 11-old. Grant Davis, his are 10-old. Trevin Valderrama, his are 12th-old. Those are the drivers in the top 7 who all stayed out. Plus Shane Ewing, 21-lap-old tires in 8th. So first car fresh tires, Cody Harris, who will start for the inside of row 5 in 9th. It's going to take them a little bit of time to pick their way through the field. So I think that 10-lap difference, but the buffer on spaces, Malik Ray and Jeremy Miller, one of those guys could get the job done here. But how many races, Nolan, have we seen Andrew Freenosh win on strategy? This may be one that he loses. I do not think the 88's in a very good position on the strategy with that late fake-out call. And he was thinking to maybe snicker a couple of guys into pitting. But when you're the leader, if you stay out, everybody might want to pit. And if you pit, everybody else might stay out. I mean, they try to leave you hanging. And the fact that only 2 drivers on that strategy, one being Freenosh, the other being Kamer, stayed out, means that I think that is mission accomplished for the pack.
The furthest driver back that just came in and pitted under this last yellow was Cody Harris. Got a few guys that came on down with Malik Ray under the last caution, like Miller, 6, Davis Valderrama, and Shane Ewing, of course, was kind of down in a bit of his own little no man's land all by himself. So the fact that Andrew Freenosh did stay out, I agree with you, it's a bad call. I mean, the numbers say it's about 30 lap fresh tires, but you factor in cautions, it's probably more likely to be roughly 15 to 20, but still, that is more than enough to make a devastating difference on pace. Freenosh is not going to be able to keep Malik Ray at bay, because you and I both saw how he was charging through the field. But I think it might be even a task for Malik Ray, because the field is going to be charging just as hard behind him.
So now we just wait and see, right? I mean, 26, 25 laps still to go means that we could still see a driver, go 10 laps or so and pit again. Everybody, I believe, has a set of tires. There's some question marks. Guys like Miller, guys like Davis have been onto the pit lane 5 times. They only have 4 sets of tires. So, that's a question. But I think most of those pit stops, additional pit stops, were just for repairs. Can't promise you that they have sets of tires, but I would think most drivers still have tires available. So the question is, how do you use them? And how about this call, Nolan? Freenosh has wanted the bottom every single time he's been in control. Well, now he takes the top.
That outside lane, we've seen it come into play big time before, so who knows, he might be trying to see if he can maybe up to the outside lane, so he can maybe get a bit of a jump on the field. Usually something you are able to do on these restarts. We'll see how that could play out for him as the pace car is down and in. Freenosh launches her back to green with 24 to go.
Green flag back in the air. It's an early start, but look at the checkup on the outside. There are a handful of drivers that are all stacked up as they came across the start-finish line, but looks like everybody was able to hold their lines and avoid penalties, and you can see the battle for the race lead ongoing as Miller wants to challenge for second.
And 3 wide, so many rows deep, and possibly wrecking as well. It's Jeremy Miller, I think, getting turned around in the back of the field. Check that, Anthony DeBarro getting spun around middle of the field in the number 27 Toyota Supra. That brings under caution, and that was in the middle of a group of 3, 4 wide as well. So how that was a single car spin is beyond me.
Yeah, that's a miracle. Watch this. Gonna get loose on his own. Look at all the cars around him. Didn't touch a single one of them. Tough break for Navarro, though, Nolan, who was so good tonight. He claims responsibility. He get the end of the longest line, but that could have easily been a dozen race cars.
Especially when you take a look at the hornet's nest among them, right? I mean, that was just, I gotta say, that was almost luck that nobody hit him. If he was in front of that group, that would have been big one part 2.
Yeah, it was very fortunate. I mean, he was maybe an inch from Liam Sheen, right? So for all the bad luck that Liam Sheen has had, maybe finally some good luck that he's not taken out in that one. And then the key is the avoidance move by, I believe, it was Michael Johnson who was there, went low, and then by the time DeBarro snapped it up the hill, everybody else had committed to go underneath him, and it was very, very fortunate that was not a bigger mess. And again, just a tough break for Anthony DeBarro. I think in an alternate universe, he wins this race a couple of times, Nolan, if you run this one back a few times. He had a lot of speed, but again, had that mistake on pit road to put him back in traffic, was still fast, but struggled just enough to never be able to get all the way back to the front.
And this caution is going to put us under 20 laps to go, and the intensity of this race is only going to continue to be ramped up as this race goes along. You mentioned, of course, the last time we were here for this series, there was only 2 cautions. That is, I think it's safe to say, has not been the case today. And I want to point out as well, you had 3 cautions before lap 100. They were at 8, 38, and obviously 92. And as soon as you hit lap 100, we've had 4 in the past 30 laps. So do you think that says a thing or two about how aggressively these guys have been driving and the mentality that's more surrounding the finish of this race?
You know, I'm just looking at, you know, like trying to predict, right, where this thing's trending. And I mean, the guys on the fresh tires, the Harrises, the Silvers, they picked up a little bit. But I think they're going to need X amount of green flag laps to get up there, right? I mean, I think Malik Ray's in a really good spot.
He's in a good spot to take the race lead away. I don't think that can be disputed, but it's still debated. He's still, you know, is he in a good position to hang on to it? Because you got these guys that are going to be behind and looking to charge up to potentially take that lead back away. I mean, look at Jeremy Miller, the 13 car, same lap tires that Malik Ray has. Even further behind, look at Cody Harris, 7th place at the moment, yes, but he has got 10 lap fresher tires compared to Ray. So it's a very interesting battle this is, and it's going to continue to develop as this gets closer and closer. You try to like run the numbers and kind of, you know, crunch them all together. I can guarantee you a lot of these drivers out there, they're probably just thinking one thing, that's what's on the track in front of them.
And funny how we go so long without, you know, an issue in this race. I'm like, oh, yeah, we had 2 yellows here at Iowa last year. Well, we're on pace for 2 tonight. That most recent one, caution to flag number 7. Listen, that's just what happens, right? When you get a caution in the second half of the race is you get these variants on the tire strategies. You get drivers taking a lot more than they were giving, although to be fair, we didn't see a lot of give early in this race anyways, with a lot of the slide jobs and pinches, but this is what you get, short track racing, and I wouldn't say, Nolan, that the 7 yellows have made this a bad race by any stretch. The fact that we've got a handful of different cars that could win it, 3-4 different strategies happening at the same time, is going to make for a very, very intriguing final 20.
I usually, unless we get to the point, you know, where the caution laps outnumber the green flag laps, it's usually not the best of things to say that, you know, cautions make a bad race. The racing, if the race was boring, absolutely make a bad race. The racing, though, tonight has been anything but. I mean, it's just been nonstop action from start to finish, so this will be an entertaining finish of this one, and it could be a hectic one at that. And with how close Freenash and Malik Ray have been, with how evenly matched they've really been over the last while and over the remainder of this race so far, I have a feeling we could be in for a barnstormer of a finish.
We'll see how this one closes down to the end of it. Pace car going to be in this time. Freenash in control. The Lex to restart on the bottom. Fresh tires to Malik Ray on the outside. A green flag flies. We're back underway. 18 laps to go in the Hawkeye state. Ray clear for second. Here he comes in the wake. Off at 2. He's got the run. Has to wait, though. Not going to happen in 3.
And they're wrecking back straight away. Valderrama getting top. Nieto's with him, though. A driver that's running in 3rd place so much. Trevin Valderrama getting into a big time. Nieto, no caution, though. We keep it green. And that means Malik Ray's clear to run down Freenash.
Well, 2 drivers involved, so there will not be a caution flag after contact between Valderrama and Nieto. And now the battle up front continues on. Malik Ray trying to squeeze underneath Andrew Freenash. He cannot do it. Freenash has 17 lap older tires. Is there any way he survives 16 laps against Malik Ray? Liam Sheen, the first car on the freshest of tires, but he's only up to P5 as Ray goes to the inside again.
Malik Ray is there. Andrew Freenot is going to be under some heavy fire for the remaining 15 laps of this race, and they are both breaking away from Jeremy Miller in behind. Valderrama's towed his car to the garage, so he is now out of this race. Here comes Ray up the inside of Freenot, charging for the lead. Out of turn 4, though, Freenot pulling ahead.
What a battle against two of the best drivers on the iRacing service. Malik Ray couldn't do it low side. Is he going to try to set him up again, or does he think about trying to go the long way around? That defensive upper lane has worked so well for Freenot tonight, but we've never seen it work on a car with better tires. Malik Ray on side again, but he can't get it stuck off of the corner, and Freenot still in front now with 13 laps to go.
Once again, that outside lane king for defense, and that is what Andrew Freenot has ruled on today. I don't think we've really seen anybody been able to really work that inside line just yet. Save for Malik Ray when he almost took the lead before a caution came out to save Freenot at the buzzer. This time by, Ray is still there and still able to charge up the inside for turn 1. Freenot is really going to have to pinch Ray down in here to prevent him from getting the run off these corners. He has to force him to back out, or he's going to lose that spot before long.
And they're both working really hard. Liam Sheen in third now. If this battle continues, they're only going to be scrubbing speed off of their lap times and could invite Sheen into the conversation. But Sheen is so far back, he needs to be at least 1/10 of a second better every single lap if he's going to make up the distance in the JDR Graphics Chevrolet in third. Again, Freenot holds the top. Malik Ray challenging on the inside. And this battle continues to roll on now with 10 laps to go from Iowa. Has Malik Ray used up a bit of that bite in the fresh tires? It's clear, Nolan, he's not going away. He's tried it very politely on the bottom several times. When does Malik Ray flip that switch and start to get physical?
Any moment now, I'd imagine, especially when you consider that we're now 9 laps remaining. We'll have to see how this could be able to have a bit of a run here coming towards the end of this race. And this time, though, Freenot is able to pull a little bit through 1 and 2. Freenot might just have what it takes to keep Malik Ray at bay. Ray, though, going to be really aggressive the inside line this time. Pushing up that track. Heads up. Watch that corner panel. Freenot still ahead and clear at the line. Now Ray's going to switch things up, looking maybe for the outside line, trying to dive it off that corner, Evan, trying to get momentum. Anything he can get. He needs every mile an hour he can muster from the #1 Mustang.
And Liam Sheen is the fastest car on track, but I don't think he's fast enough. Malik Ray, the slide job. Freenot, the crossover. Back to the inside. And side by side, they touch. They get together into turn 1. Malik Ray not backing down. Freenot now stuck on the bottom. New race leader. It's Malik Ray at lap 144.
Freenot isn't done, though. He's going to look to fight this one out. It's going to be 6 laps to go. Freenot winding up a charge from the outside line. Has the run out of 4. Looking for the inside line of turn 1 once again with 6 laps to go. And Freenot is going to be shooting one up the inside of the #1 machine. But now it's Ray's turn to use that outside line for defense.
And Liam Sheen was not close enough until that contact, Nolan. That cost them both about 3/4 of a second. So it was very clearly going to be a 2-horse race. Now it's a 3-way battle for the race lead with 5 laps to go here from Iowa. The RealSimRacing Sim Speed Shop Winter Series. Freenot stuck on the bottom. It is not where he wants to be. And Malik Ray employing the same defensive techniques that Freenot was doing into the one car to keep him at bay. Malik Ray, great run off of 4. He's got a car length advantage. It's the biggest we've seen in a dozen laps.
And now Liam Sheen is there as well and ready to do battle as well. If any of these drivers make a mistake, Freenot You saw trying to open up the bottom, but just like Malik Ray tried time and time again, just cannot get there. Now trying to run the outside line, but Malik Ray already knows the playbook and covers off that outside lane beautifully. So it's 3 to go, and it's a 3-car breakaway from the rest of the field behind. Liam Sheen just waiting in the wings, trying to see maybe he can steal a second place away from Andrew Freenach, who says to give it everything now for Ray up in front.
And there's already been contact, so you wonder how aggressive does Freenach get if it comes down to it. But Malik Ray has got just too much of an advantage. 2 laps to go from Iowa. Freenach down to the inside.
Side by side with 1.5 laps remaining. Freenach still isn't there, though. Malik Ray might just have this thing won, but Freenach ain't done fighting yet. To the inside, trying for the slider, but can't get clear with 1 to go.
Side by side, 1 lap to go for iRacing's virtual Iowa Speedway. Malik Ray leads, Freenach challenges, and Liam Sheen is watching on from 3rd. Not the best turn 2 for Freenach. He's a half a car length behind into turn 3. Looks to the inside. Malik Ray is going to close it off. Freenach has got the run, but he runs out of road, and Malik Ray wins in the Winter Series at Iowa.
But only just by the smallest of margins over Andrew Freenach. Got it done. And Freenach, he raced Malik Ray. How Malik Ray raced him. Ray raced him cleanly, raced him respectively. Freenach did the favor. Could have gone for the bump and run at any point. Decided, though, he wanted that race to end out clean. He is going to do so at the Iowa Speedway, and that gives Malik Ray a well-deserved win.
Had a lot of speed, has not been in positions to find the success that he's been deserving of, and now he celebrates it on the front straightaway. Career win number 4 in Real Sim Racing for Malik Ray, as he celebrates as the winner of tonight's Sim Speed Shop 150. Of course, his other race wins coming in the Full Throttle Cup Series at Darlington, also at Bristol, and at Auto Club. First time he's done it in an Xfinity car in the Winter Series. Let's take a look at tonight's Sim Speed Shop full race results, and Malik Ray puts Space Station Gaming in victory lane. Final margin of victory, a 10th over top Andrew Freenach, who gets 2nd, and Liam Sheen, who comes home 3rd. We'll talk with all of them here in just a little bit post-race. Cody Harris recovers for a P4 finish. He's ahead of Michael Araya in 5th. Nick Silver comes home 6th, ahead of Kyle Kamer 7th. You got Michael Johnson 8th, Anthony DeBarro 9th, and William Schmidt in 10th.
That leaves Kyle Trudell down 11th place with Tim Johnston 12th. Ross Cato is 13th. Braden Whitaker 14th with Joseph Tyson 15th. Jim Miller 16th. Brandon 6th and 17th. Chris Rabel 18th. And Grant Davis, Mike Kuczynski rounded out your top 20.
Continuing on through, you got Bradley Burke, Shane Ewing, Nicholas Mara, Jared Winemaster, Sean Casto, Brandon Bowie, and Sam Nieto on the lead lap. Of course, Bowie, the big loser in all of this, was 3rd in the championship, and this is really going to hurt his hopes at a title fight. Off of the lead lap, Trevor Valderrama with the DNF in 28th, Dylan Parker 29th, and Josh Ball 30th, ahead of Matt Mara 31st, and Kenny Brady in 32nd position. To look top to bottom at your Sim Speed Shop full race results, Sim Speed Shop manufactures sim racing hardware that utilizes the best components available, as well as mixing in real-world components to their products to give you the most realistic racing experience possible. Customize your hardware and rig today by visiting simspeedshop.com for more information. Proud title sponsor of the 2022 Real Sim Racing Sim Speed Shop Winter Series. Well, let's go down and kick things off. Let's go bottom to top, if you will, Nolan. Let's chat with our top 3 finishers. Looks like the first driver we have dialed up is the 92 car of Liam Sheen, who comes home in 3rd.
That is very much the case, and Liam Sheen, you bring it home 3rd place. You were closing up to the top 3, but just weren't able to get close enough to give Freenach or Ray a run for your money, but still, you managed to come home 3rd place, and not bad at all considering everything that was going on behind you.
I was I don't think anyone knows how mad I was after the incident happened with me and Matt, but oh my goodness, I can't believe I rebounded to that. I'm just so happy I was able to do that. That was just insane.
And it was a very intense race for you, all things considered, at the end of the night here. I mean, you found yourself kind of falling down the field. You found yourself working your way back up. The cautions threw a bit of a curveball in the strategy. Why don't you walk us through some of your strategy calls tonight?
Well, most of it was just kind of following what Andrew did. A lot of it was just Andrew and just watching what they did. I was also keeping an eye on Sam. Sam usually has the right calls, so I was just kind of checking to see what they were doing. I just kind of judged it off of what the front runners did.
And then, of course, you come over to next week, and it's yet another different racetrack. So 4 different tracks in the first opening rounds. It's road course racing time. Swinging on over to the Circuit Jean Villeneuve up in Canada to race at Montreal. What do you think we can expect coming around from that facility, which is actually designed for these cars this time around?
I thought that was Mid-Ohio. But I love road course racing. Anyone that knows me knows that. I think we'll have a pretty solid run there. I expect to, or I don't want to say expect because, you know, anything can happen, anyone could be good, but it's like, I really, really want to try to contend for the win at this. If Matt Danson shows up, if he gets off the wait list, I mean, that'll be a fun brawl between us. I'm getting some new equipment between then and now, so I'll be practicing on that. So I'm really excited to see what I can bring there. So yeah.
Well, I'll correct myself, it was Mid-Ohio, but regardless, I hope that you'll be able to find yourself a solid run out of Mid-Ohio in just 1 week's time. Thank you, Liam, for taking the time to join us here tonight, and, well, best of luck on the road courses. We go turning right in 1 week's time.
Yeah, I got to thank everyone at the team, Kevin King, Daniel Eberhardt, Dylan Jones, let me see who else is over there, Jackson Crowder, Austin Johnson, Blake Cisneros. Got to give a huge thanks to Andrew Farinaj. He's helped me a lot with getting better at these kind of tracks. I struggled at, you know, places like here in the Cup Series, so he's been helping me a lot. Also got to give a huge thanks to JD Laird, JDR Graphics. He's been supporting me, watching my races, and painting my cars. So check out jdrgraphics.com, and yeah.
Thank you, Liam, for taking the time to join us out here tonight. Congrats on a 3rd place finish. Best of luck next week.
Thank you.
Slim Machine bringing it home with the number 92 machine for us here tonight in 3rd place, and going to continue on down through the order. 2nd place finisher Andrew Freenach, just 1/10 behind Malik Ray. And Andrew, what an epic battle you took to Malik Ray, especially in those closing laps.
Yeah, no one, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, I was kind of lost for words. I thought we had a chance there with the older tires. I was surprised we were able to hold on as long as we did, and Malik just went for the slide job, and I saw him coming up, and he got a points race with this, so I could not chance just staying in it. I can't put myself on the wall, so I tried the crossover, and it just wasn't enough to get back. But man, that was fun. There was a lot of, you know, it was for the most part clean racing. The fans must have loved that. You guys must have loved that. There was a lot of fun to be a part of.
Of course, we talk about Iowa, being such a popular track amongst both drivers and fans, and we were expressing how disappointed we were that you don't see a lot of series coming around here anymore. What's your take on the track, though? Because you look like you're having fun out there.
Yeah, I only bought this thing about 2-3 years ago when we first came here in the Winter Series, and I really have not been a fan of it. For whatever reason, doing the practice this week, I kind of figured out, and I started to get the groove running the bottom like that, and I've come around. I like it. I just wish the bottom was a little better because you saw how hard it is to pass. Malik should have blown by me. I mean, he's a pro driver, extremely talented, newer tires, and I was able to fend him off just because I was running the top. So if they added a little more grip to the bottom, I think I'd really like it. But yeah, it's coming around. I like it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but definitely a solid track.
And now that you got yourself a win on the season and, of course, a 2nd place here tonight at Iowa, you get set to potentially have another go at another Winter Series championship in the coming 7 races here. Do you have a plan on where you want to find yourself finishing at this one?
I mean, unfortunately with my job, if it snows, I have to go plow. So, if we could somehow get like a race lead, that would be great. But, chances are through these 10 weeks, eventually it's going to snow on a Monday and we're probably going to miss a week. So we're just trying to build up the points. I really do want to get like a top 5. That's kind of the goal here, even if we do miss a race. And we're on track for that. We keep the top 5 streak alive, the top 3 streak alive this winter series. So happy with that. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of our plan going forward.
Consistency is key with every race. I hope you'll be able to stack up those points, and hopefully we'll be seeing victory lane before long in the winter series once again. Thank you for joining us, Andrew.
Thanks so much, guys. Do want to say a quick shout out to you guys, everything you do, all the drivers. That was a ton of fun. And do want to say, I know today was the last day on iRacing for the Gen 6 car official races. Really going to miss that. Let's go out there and get horsepower back in these NASCARs. Everybody I talk to wants it back, and let's, as fans, tell NASCAR we want horsepower. Since I got that in, that's it.
Once again, thank you, Andrew, for taking the time to join us up here tonight. Congrats on a second place finish. Hopefully we'll be seeing you in victory lane in the next weeks.
Thanks so much, guys. Have a good week.
Andrew Frinos bringing it home in second place, the tail end of what was an absolutely phenomenal battle for the race lead. And Evan, well, I'll hand it over to you for the top end of that battle.
Yeah, for the 4th time in his career, Malik Ray is at RealSimRacing victory lane tonight in the Winter Series. Malik, congratulations on the win. We'll get into specifics in a minute, but just talk us through that battle there with Andrew Late, where you had the better tires, but he was kind of holding you off there by running the top side.
Yeah, man, it was hard to get by him. The top has always been pretty dominant here, and I tried to save my tires. I knew that I was gonna have to have some amount of tires left to be able to just to get to him, because of the dirty air and whatnot. And then I was able to throw a surprise slide job in turn 3 and 4, and then we made contact on the front straightaway. But other than that, it was pretty good from there.
Well, he said as well that it was good hard racing and didn't mind the touch either. Talk us a little bit about these Xfinity cars, right? I mean, it's the same car that you're using in the Contender Road to Pro iRacing series, but at least on that side of things, you guys don't get to race it at a track like Iowa, right? I mean, it's just a bunch of big tracks on that schedule. What's it like racing an Xfinity Series car at a place like Iowa?
It just requires a ton of patience, just a ton of patience to be able to because you have to set up the passes on people, and then when they run the outside, it's going to take you at least 3 or 4 laps to be able to get by the guy if he doesn't let you go. So it just takes a lot of patience to be able to run here, because you can run pretty much every group on track, especially in turn 3 and 4. So gotta be patient here is all, really.
Well, we've seen a bunch of different kinds of tracks so far in this series, and this is the first race where, you guys didn't have a major issue to take you out of it. There's other challenges to come. There's road course races still. There's some other short, unique racetracks. Where else are we going to see you on track here on Monday nights, and what kind of tracks are you looking forward to coming up?
All the 1.5-mile tracks, I really enjoy those, and I'm just going to try to show up every week, because we're having I'm in a pretty big hole in points right now because I didn't finish the first 2 races. So I kind of got to, I'm just have to stick them out, even the road courses.
Got to hang with them. Well, hey, congratulations on the win tonight, Malik. We're taking a look at that number 1 Ford Mustang. Who makes it happen for you?
That'd be Space Station Gaming and Sim Seats and Still Series. And you guys for broadcasting too. I appreciate you guys doing this.
Well, we appreciate you coming over and racing with us here on a Monday night. Congratulations on the win again, Malik. Best of luck tomorrow night as well, and we'll catch you next time out.
All right, man. I'll see you guys later.
The race winner tonight from the virtual Iowa Speedway in the Sim Speed Shop 150, Malik Ray gets the race win here tonight from the virtual Iowa Speedway. So, 3 weeks down, 3 race winners in Nolan, and big thing to take away from tonight is, of course, we talked about it, the issues for Bowie, right? He was 3rd. It's a poor result tonight. Freenosh doesn't get the win, but he gets another top 5 finish, and he continues to build. Hasn't been untouchable this year, but, with the speed he's so consistent at, it's going to be a lot to stay with him. And for a guy like Malik Ray, Malik could probably win the next 7 races and still not catch Andrew if he's knocking off P2s. However, if Andrew misses a week at any point and Malik Ray is really good, who knows what we could be talking about in 2 months when it gets time to crown a champion.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you heard it from Andrew Freenage himself. He's not necessarily certain if we're going to be having, all of these races, being able to have a race where he can show up. It depends on, outside factors, of course. So we're obviously hoping that we can have a seriously exciting championship fight. I mean, could be borderline as exciting as the fight we're seeing in the Formula One World Championship right now, developing on now. But who knows? I mean, right? Anything can happen, especially in the world of racing. And even if Malik Ray, he could have a bad race where Andrew Freenage misses a race, keeping the fight just as close.
And hopefully our championship battles require a lot less input from the stewards, unlike the F1 championship. Otherwise, I'm going to lose a lot of sleep. But let's talk about where we go next. F1's a good thing because last year, the lone road course race on the calendar was Montreal, as you mentioned. It was originally scheduled to be Montreal again this year. Instead, it gets switched back to Mid-Ohio, as those tracks have kind of been swapping out that one road date year to year. It's a very different racetrack from Montreal, right? I mean, Montreal's very flat, F1-esque track. You kind of go through the rolling hills at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, but that is the lone road race. Malik Ray ain't looking forward to it. We all know that Andrew Freenage says that they're not his favorite. Could this be an opportunity for Liam Sheen to get in there? Or I do have inside information, Olin, that there were 32 drivers in the field here tonight. You would never guess who that opens up the next available waitlist spot to. One Matt Danson, who won a Winter Series championship last year and tends to be good on the road courses. So if he decides to accept that invitation, he could be a huge factor as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Matt Danson, we talked about this last year, right, during the Cup Series, basically undefeated on the road course races, save for that one road course race where he was serving a suspension for, and he probably would have won that one too. That was the one road course race. Liam Sheen got his only win and secured, I believe, his ticket over into the playoffs for the Same Seats Cup Series. So it'll be interesting, right, seeing Matt Danson. I imagine, seeing as Danson, I believe, is the defending champion for the Winter Series, he is going to be very, very eager to try to see if he can potentially have himself another win to kick things off strong at Mid-Ohio.
And we'll see if he joins us then. Andrew Freenage, Michael Araya, and now Malik Ray. The three different winners that we've had in 3 weeks. That is it for us here tonight from Iowa. On behalf of our entire team at RealSimRacing and RaceSpotTV, everybody behind the scenes, our drivers, our partners, and of course your broadcast team tonight. For our producer downstairs, Hugo Luis, for Nolan Rempel, and myself, Evan Pasoko. I want to thank you all for being a part of tonight's action and congratulate Malik Ray on his first career RSR Winter Series win. We're back in 1 week's time on Monday, December the 13th for a trip to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That race and every race of the 2022 Real Sim Racing Sim Speed Shop Winter Series can be found exclusively here on RaceSpot TV. Until next time, good night from the Hawkeye State, where Malik Ray is in victory lane.